All right, welcome back, guys. Today we're going to cover some really interesting follow-ups to our last live stream. Democrats suffer humiliation as their Epstein plot continues to go badly because they thought that they were going to have Trump on the back foot, but this has backfired massively for them. Hakeem Jeffries gets pummeled on CNN, and Josh Hawley exposes that Democrats are regretting bringing up the Epstein files at all. Democrats equally got destroyed on the House floor yesterday. We're going to look into that. And Nicki Minaj speaks out on the violence happening against Christians in Nigeria as the Nigerian foreign minister got destroyed on Piers Morgan Uncensored. All right, so please stay till the end of the live stream. There's a special video that I'm going to play. It is a live stream that happened at a church in northern Nigeria just before an attack happened by Islamists, and you see the attack unfold. There's no God, there's no blood, so I think it's safe to air it, but it's interesting for you to kind of watch to see what it's like to live in fear of being attacked while you're in your most vulnerable moments of worship at church. It's chilling to watch. Please join me as we break down these stories. Give your reactions in the live stream, and don't forget to smash the like button. Send a super chat, and let's feel your support over here. Right, let's jump into the first story.
Do you think it was appropriate for her to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein 11 years after he pleaded guilty?
I mean, I have not had a conversation with Stacey Plaskett to discuss this issue because we've been focused today on making sure that there was a decisive vote as it related to the Epstein files and the release. I'm thankful for the work of Representative Massey, of Ro Khanna, but most importantly, the survivors.
Do you plan to talk to her about it?
I think that we successfully defeated a resolution that lacked any basis, was not credible, and was being brought by an individual who was trying to weaponize this issue to reinvigorate his own failed gubernatorial campaign in South Carolina. It was rejected on a bipartisan basis on the floor today. That's the end of the story.
Sorry. So what he's talking about, I think, is the fact that there was a motion to censor Stacey Plaskett, and the usual suspect sabotaged the entire thing. This is 2 for 2 right now, where Democrats who have been found liable for certain things that could be labeled as misconduct have escaped being censored, but the same thing would not apply to Republicans.
Yeah, I was just asking if you personally believe messaging with Jeffrey Epstein, who is at that point a registered sex offender, is appropriate for a member of the House Democratic Caucus.
That's the third time you've asked me this question, and I'm going to give you the same exact answer.
Because you haven't answered it.
Our focus today is on making sure that the Jeffrey Epstein files were released. If you want to have a conversation with Stacey Plaskett about it, I'm sure she'd be willing to talk to you. It was an illegitimate effort to try to remove her from the House Committee on Intelligence, and that was defeated in a bipartisan way.
Sorry, how is it illegitimate for a proven accusation that a member of your team was texting a known convicted predator, and the predator was coaching her on how to engage in an impeachment proceeding against the sitting president, Trump? That is insane. And then the way they, with a straight face, tell you that it's illegitimate, please give me a break.
Well, let me ask you about you, because the White House has been highlighting an email that I'm sure you've seen today that Jeffrey Epstein got in 2013. They say it shows you were soliciting money and dinner from an Epstein. The email was not sent from you. It was sent from a political consulting firm called Dynamic SRG that says, "We are thrilled to announce we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries. Shoot us an email or give us a call if you would like to get involved." What's your response? Do you recall that email being sent to Jeffrey Epstein from that team?
Yeah, of course, I have no recollection of the email. I've never had a conversation with him, never met him, know nothing about him other than the extreme things that he's been convicted of doing. And that's why, I'm just strongly supportive of the effort, backing the survivors to make sure that everything can come out, whatever is in those Department of Justice files.
So you never got a donation from Jeffrey Epstein or anything like that?
Certainly not.
Well, it's more of the same from the Democrats, okay? Rules for thee, not for me. If this was a Republican who was caught colluding with a known criminal, getting pointers, and then essentially getting a pat on the back when they did exactly as they were told, the Republicans would be all over it. That motion to censor the Republican would have passed and will be well on to something else. And this is the reason why a lot of people feel that that Republicans in the House are spineless. Now, Josh Hawley, had his moments to actually talk about this situation.
Do you think it was appropriate for her to be
excuse me, and then we're going to jump into his interview, and essentially he tells us exactly what we know is happening already, is simply stating the obvious. But let's hear him expose how the Democrats really feel about their motion to bring up the Epstein files.
Hakeem's people asked Epstein to come to dinner and meet him after he was convicted for fooling around with a 14-year-old.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, this is why the Democrats they're going to regret, I think, ever playing around with this, and they're going to regret embracing transparency, though I'm glad they did. They thought, I think, that the files would never become public. They thought this was all a game. Well, guess what? They're going to get their wish. They are going to become public. The president's going to sign the bill. The president's been right all along on this. He said months ago, make public everything you can that's not classified. Now Congress is finally going to do it. And I think we're going to learn a lot, Jesse. A lot of people suddenly are going to get real reticent to talk about Epstein, whether it's Hakeem Jeffries, whether it's Larry Summers, that Harvard president you mentioned a second ago who worked for Barack Obama. We're going to find out a lot about a lot of folks, because you know what else is in this bill that just passed tonight? It's got to be a searchable database so any American can go in and read the file.
Yep. So, excuse me. All right. So Josh Hawley clearly very excited about the fact that the Democrats didn't get exactly what they wanted.
That's how it should be. I'm looking forward to seeing what's there.
Well,
yeah, so that's Josh Hawley. Now, let me know your thoughts in the chat, because it's easy to kick back and say, yes, justice, the Democrats are getting their comeuppance. They thought they could, get one over on Trump. And let's leave all the partisanship aside. All right. The documents were released. Democrats cherry-picked a few emails that mentioned Trump and tried to use that as an opening salvo against the Republicans and against President Trump. When you make your entire movement about getting President Trump and not about serving your constituents, that is where you guys fail. You guys just face plant every single time when you do that. Same for the Republicans. Now, the Republicans, after some of the wins that they've been getting, they decide to start fighting. Like, these guys can't even behave for once. Okay, they can't behave for once. Okay, so let me know in the chat. I'm going to jump into the chat. Okay, before we move on to the next story. All right, so we have a few. So Wes, thanks for joining us again today. Lock up all corrupt politicians if they are guilty, including Trump. I agree. If you are not going to do that, why all the noise? Let's see everything. Of course, they say that some of the videos are pornographic videos, and some of the videos showcase the victims. People are saying blur out the faces of the victims. Let's see who's in there. So let's see who's in the files. Okay, who did those things that we're really upset about. Please let's know your comments. Put your comments in the chat. All right. Don't let Wes dominate the entire conversation. Okay. I'm going to be going through the chat with you all. And remember, at the tail end of this live stream, we're going to be looking at a very chilling video. I would like your thoughts on that video when we play it. Wes again says, I like the email where Mark Epstein tells Jeffrey to ask Steve Bannon if Putin has the picture of Trump lowing. Look, all the files, if any of the things that are being said are to be believed, all the files would contain everything. Okay? If I sent an email to someone claiming something, it's hearsay. Let's see the videos. Let's see the pictures. Let's see the connection. Let's connect the dots. Let the victims who were assaulted by whoever step forward. We're told that there are over 1,000 victims. Let them all step up and let's hear it. It's really as simple as that. Okay? Republicans live. What about ISM? I don't understand that. Okay. Okay. Republicans love whataboutisms. I don't understand how that is relevant. Whataboutisms. So just give me an example. Okay. Wes, give me an example of when Republicans carried out a whataboutism. I need to know what you're talking about. I don't want to assume you're saying something. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So kind of articulate that so I can, really represent your point, and then maybe give a counter if I have to. You don't leave it aside though. I'm still confused. Okay. Then West says, I'm a centrist and an independent. Most of us who think independently would enjoy hanging out here. Okay. We just take a look at both sides. To be honest, I am frustrated by both sides. I am. I look at both sides and it's just like, what are you guys doing? So the bottom line is, let's tell the truth. Okay. So I'll take this chat and then jump into the next video. Keep your chat coming. I will be reading your chat. We will be engaging, and just let me know your thoughts. And then we will engage in a very polite and meaningful way. All right. And thank you for your chats. Okay. Wes and Schrodinger's cat. Okay. Try saying that 5 times. Lock them all up. Trump, his rich buddies, whatever, them was robbing. Okay, they were colluding with him. Get them all. Well, let's look at the evidence. Schrodinger's cat. Let's look at the evidence. It's really about the evidence. Okay, so let's jump to the next story. Now, in the next story, we're going to see James Comer breaking down everything that led us to this point. Okay, what the Democrats did, what they attempted to do, and what maybe some of us have never heard before. So James Comer gives us the breakdown. All right, hold on. Let me get the file. Let's go.
The gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As chairman of the House Oversight Committee, I've always believed that sunshine is the best disinfectant. For years, the American people have demanded transparency about Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell's horrific crimes, and about the federal government's failure to protect the victims. The House Oversight Committee is conducting a thorough review of the federal government's investigation into Epstein. Our work goes far beyond the legislation before us today. We are committed to accountability, transparency, and justice for the American people and for the survivors of these appalling crimes. To date, the Oversight Committee has released more than 65,000 pages of documents, issued 13 subpoenas, and conducted interviews with 2 key witnesses, both of whom were Republicans. The Trump administration has provided us with Department of Justice materials and access to suspicious activity reports. Unfortunately, throughout this investigation, Democrats have chosen to manufacture yet another anti-Trump hoax instead of pursuing justice.
So, according to James Comer, they released 65,000 documents, and the Democrats cherry-picked 3 emails where Trump's name was mentioned. So just keep that in mind.
They have mischaracterized witness testimony and selectively released documents complete with targeted redactions in an effort to smear President Trump. For example, former U.S. Attorney General Bill Barr, who oversaw the 2019 Epstein investigation, stated clearly under oath that the prosecution team found no evidence that President Trump committed wrongdoing. Despite this simple and straightforward fact, Ranking Member Robert Garcia, moments after that deposition, tiptoed out and publicly claimed that, quote, Barr could not clear Trump of wrongdoing.
And this is what we keep seeing. The Democrats do this regularly. Okay, now, if I caught Republicans doing what he just described, I would call them out. You can't sit through a briefing, hear the details that clearly state that President Trump has been cleared of all wrongdoing, step into the hallway and tell the press that you're not convinced and there was not enough evidence presented. It is this kind of behavior that grinds my gears. It's called lying. It's called bearing false witness. It's called TDS, okay? You can't do that, especially when the information is out there and we can all see it.
That was a lie, and we have the transcript to prove it. I invite the media to read the transcript. When the Oversight Committee interviewed former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, Alex Acosta, Democrats whipped themselves into a frenzy trying to manufacture a gotcha moment, but they failed. Mr. Acosta dismantled the Democrats' narrative. His testimony confirmed there was no contact between President Trump and Mr. Acosta and no connection between President Trump in the Epstein case. Next, Democrats resorted to selective leaks and doctored documents to mislead the American people. Oversight Committee Republicans have posted 65,000 pages of documents we have received to date. Democrats, by contrast, have released fewer than 1 dozen. In their latest selective leak, Democrats...
All right, so listen to this. So when you're looking at the two parties, which party is more interested in transparency on the Epstein situation? The Republicans have released 65,000 documents. Democrats have released less than 12. Keep that. Just, look, it's a math problem. We can't continue to deceive ourselves to say you're not seeing what you're seeing. Okay, I see the chat. Keep them coming. We can't pretend anymore. We just have to look at both sides. If anything goes wrong on the Republican side, let's call it out. Okay, let's just call it out. And in tonight's live stream, I will be looking at some of the issues with the Republican Party. So if you want to hear some of my concerns about the Republican Party, please come back tonight. I will be talking about that.
Released just three of the 23,000 pages of documents from the Epstein estate. And they made redactions to 2 of those emails that changed both the context and the meaning of the 3 pages they released. When CNN called them out for their deceptive redactions, Representatives Stansberry and Crockett tried to blame Republicans for their own edits.
Now, this is another thing that frustrates me. The Republicans show up on CNN. CNN calls them out on the email and the problem with the email, and Jasmine Crockett begins to try to blame Republicans for the redactions that Democrats made to the email. It's this kind of incompetent lying. If Democrats were more skillful in deceiving us, I would hand it to them and say, okay, respect. You guys are trying. They're not even trying.
For the Democrat Oversight Committee edits, after Democrats released only 3 emails, Republicans released over 23,000 pages. And what did Democrats say in response when we released every single document that we got? They claimed full transparency was meant to, quote, disorient or distract from their manufactured narrative. These are the same Democrats who chant, release the files every day until the files contradict the story they want to tell.
Yep.
That is the definition of hypocrisy. In contrast, full transparency exposed how Epstein appears to be TDS patient zero. The emails reveal a journalist coached Epstein to blackmail then presidential candidate Donald Trump.
The gentleman's recognized.
The files also show that a House Democrat colluded with Epstein during the 2019 oversight hearing to discredit witness with a vendetta against President Trump. And unsurprisingly, Democrats have been silent about their colleagues' coordination with Epstein. Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jeffries as part of their 2013 effort to win a majority. So Hakeem Jeffries' campaign solicited money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch. The files underscore why former President Trump must appear for his deposition. We've subpoenaed him. To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get justice for the victims. That's our goal of this investigation. With that, I yield back.
So tell me what you think in the chat. All right, so let's look at your messages in the chat before we jump to the next story, which will interest you. It will interest you. Remember, so just to let you know, next story we're going to be covering Nicki Minaj's statement to the UN concerning the violence taking place against Christians in Nigeria, the foreign minister of Nigeria getting destroyed on Piers Morgan, and we're also going to see a live stream, a portion of a live stream where a church in northern Nigeria was attacked by Islamists. You're going to see them. You're going to see the church service break apart, people hiding, Islamists. Like, it is horrific to watch, and just try and put yourself in their shoes. All right. Now, if you like the content that we're presenting so far, please consider subscribing if you haven't. Like and share the video, and then leave a comment in the chat. Okay, this is an interactive live stream, and I would like to know your thoughts about the stories that we're covering. All right, so let's see. David H. Poor bottom feeders, not about Democrat or Republicans. It's the fact that pedos aren't punished. I agree, David H. I totally agree. I'm tired of all of the, once the issue, the situation with the JFK files happened earlier this year, I just lost all faith in any so-called revelations that happen with with declassifying documents. I'm not holding my breath about the Epstein files. We're going to sit and watch, see what happens, and then you and I will discuss what on earth is going on. All right, and of course, there's going to be a lot to talk about. This is going to be something interesting to watch. The full release of the files is meant to be towards the end of January, I think. So we're going to be talking about it, but yes, I agree. Pedos have not been punished. They have to be punished. We have to see indictments and imprisonments until you can take your kid on that's a dark picture. But until you can go to a correctional facility and then see these people in jail, there's no point to this drama. Okay. Tara says, I don't understand the desperation of Democrats to take Trump down instead of focusing on the matter in itself. It's Trump derangement syndrome. They're not even taking care of their constituents. That's the part that is frustrating as well. All the constituents here is, we need to stop Trump. How about the basic things? Education for the kids, making sure the lights come on, for crying out loud, making sure utilities and the government and everything works well. Okay, education. All they hear year in, year out is stop Trump. And that's what they ran on. And people think that it's a good idea. They keep encouraging these politicians by voting them back in. David H. Doesn't matter what party, it's the action of DJT who assaulted a 13-year-old. Okay, David H., where's your facts? If you want to spread hearsay and rumors because it's convenient, because you don't like someone, it's called bearing false witness. Okay? It's called bearing false witness. If you don't have the facts, if it's hearsay, if someone said something on TDSBC or on CNN that has not been proven, there's no fact to it. Can you just hold on until you have the facts? If you don't have the facts, you can say, okay, it's not proven. All right. I didn't like Joe Biden, not personally, but because of what he stood for. But until things were proven, I didn't say, hey, he did this or the other. We have the videos of him owning up to the fact that he forced Ukraine to fire the prosecutor who was going after Burisma. He owned up to it. It's on video. So we talk about these things when they are proven. Until you have something that's proven, you can't say that out loud and not get pushback. You need to show evidence. It's really that simple. Joe Juan Miranda, welcome back. Good morning. Good morning, Juan. Let's see. Tara says, out of 65,000 pages of documents, they sought out 3. Talk about a needle in a haystack. Well, yeah, they did. They really went after those needles. Juan Miranda says, okay, how do you explain Maxwell getting transferred to a minimum security prison after her interview with the assistant AG? All right, so Juan, there's this thing I think happens not just with people like Ghislaine, but also with mob informants and different kinds of criminals. If the federal government can get a confession from them and use that to further a case against other people that they're really after, they strike deals with them. And maybe the deal that Ghislaine wanted was she wanted different to be incarcerated under different circumstances and so on. I saw some people online, on a podcast that I watched, raving about the fact that she got a dog. I'm like, it's all part of the legal system. You guys shouldn't be freaking out. This isn't North Korea, and it's not Siberia. It's not Russia. It's the United States. You guys pride yourselves on being humane to people who are incarcerated. If you try to have a deal with somebody and they say, okay, I will sing if you do this for me, and the government does that, it is part of negotiations. Okay, guys? So let's not freak out over it. It means nothing. It means nothing. It doesn't mean that the Trump administration is favoring Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember, it was the Trump administration who put her husband in jail, where he passed on. It was the Trump administration that spearheaded her indictment and eventually her imprisonment. So there's no favoritism there. Let's not have short-term memory. The Trump administration first term was responsible for putting Epstein away. Donald Trump informed on Epstein to the FBI before he was president. So there's no collusion between Ghislaine and the Trump administration if you look at the history. Chris says Republicans are trying to defund the Department of Education. What are you talking about? Okay, Chris, let me give you the Cliff Notes. The Department of Education is the highest funded Department of Education in the world, yet they produce the worst educational records, meaning The teachers in there are incompetent. You're spending money on a failed structure. There is a recommendation about what to do about education. So what I would say is, excuse me, if you want us to do a live stream covering the Department of Education and the reform that President Trump and is it Susan McMahon, or I don't, well, she's the daughter of the founder of the WWE. Let's talk about that at length in a different live stream. But the Department of Education has failed, so it has to be reformed. Defunding it, in essence, is not destroying education. It is reforming it in a way that, for one, favoring charter schools, not public schools. People can take the money that is meant for education, and then they decide, I want my son to go to a charter school instead of the public school system. Right? That's what they're talking about. So just saying they want to defund education is a bit simplistic. We need to go into the nuance and figure out what they're talking about. Chris says Trump has been proven in civil court to have he was not proven to have done that. He wasn't. He was absolved of it, and then because E. Jean Carroll felt uncomfortable about tweets against her, she brought up a libel lawsuit, which, look, the kind of court cases that happened when Democrats tried to go after Trump are unheard of. Someone completely different tweets against you, and then you sue the person you have a court case against, saying, because I brought up this court case against you, your fans are tweeting against me. And the judge awarded her, I think it was about $50 million or something obscene. And I think they're supposed to appeal it or something. Look up how many times he's been accused and settled out of court for sexual assault. Look it up live. I would love to, but if I cater to what you're asking for, I need other people. I need a 100%. And when I say 100%, everyone who's watching on both platforms, I'm watching the numbers. I will count, and then I will count, and then we will, let's see. Chris, let's deal in facts, okay? Let's deal in facts. I have an hour to go through the live stream. I am not Asmon Gold. I don't do 5 or 8 hour live streams. All right. So I have an hour. We go over the stories, maybe towards the tail end when I'm done with the last story. If we have time, then you guys will remind me to look up this claim. Okay. All right. I'm not dancing around facts. These are things that I've looked into. Okay. If I make a mistake while we're looking up live, it is revealed that I made a mistake. Fine. I'll say, yes, I made a mistake. It's really that simple, but I did follow these court cases. I did. So let's just move on. One, Miranda, Trump is the most named person in the emails. Why didn't Kash Patel respond to the number of times Trump is named? Okay, so does that mean, was he named as having done anything? Okay, Trump was named, yes. Bill Clinton was also named, yes. Other powerful people were also named, yes. Does it mean they did anything? You don't hear me doing videos saying, okay, Clinton was named. I stay away from those kinds of insinuations because it is disingenuous. If I don't like the fact that it is done for somebody that is on one side, I shouldn't like the fact that it is being done to somebody on the other side. We have to be intellectually honest. That's really what I'm about. I am waiting for the details of everything to be revealed. Simply saying, statistically, Trump's name was named more than everyone else. Okay, so who else was named? we have to be intellectually consistent. All right. All right, guys. I am not a fan of Clinton, but I don't jump on the live stream and say, okay, how about Clinton? Someone accused Republicans of whataboutisms. I haven't done that here. I haven't, only to give this example. So if we don't do it for everyone else who was named, why do it for Trump? It's just a smear campaign targeting Trump, because saying Trump is named in it without actual wrongdoing being identified is just an attempt to discredit the man. It's not fair, and we should aim for fairness. All right, more from the chat. Juan Miranda, okay, where he was murdered, I don't understand. Okay. Juan Miranda, I can't understand this chat. Maybe it's connected to the last one. I'm just going to move on so that we just keep the energy of the live stream going. Chris says, bro, your mental gymnastics are outstanding. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I take that as a compliment. See, I can be sarcastic too, dude. I've already covered this. I've explained my point of view. If you guys want me to go over all of this in the bonus 15 minutes of the show, if we have a 15 minutes to spare, then we will do that. Chris also says, yes, he was. He was also convicted of defamation. No, he was not. He was not convicted of rape. He was not, Chris. Okay, in the bonus hour, all right, while you do your fact checking at your end, if we do have time, we will do a fact check at my end. Okay, we will check it live. Was he convicted of raping E. Jean Carroll? And then the funny thing is, whenever I do these live fact checks, there are times that people don't like the answers that we get. All right, let's move on. Chris says Trump was convicted of raping E. Jean Carroll, and now he is appealing it. Let us, figure that out. And Trump was also look, Chris. Okay, someone is asking that I should look it up live. Let's finish the last story. I don't want this whole thing to be derailed. I have a final video to play. I want us to go through that. It's a change in topic. However, what we're discussing right now is a complete change in topic as well, because we're discussing Trump being convicted of rape. What we're discussing is the Epstein files and whether he was on Epstein Island. E. Jean Carroll is a total. Now, whenever people start talking about Trump, especially because Trump is a very people don't like Trump. Okay, it's very easy to get people to pile on and say yes, he was, yes, he was. Okay, but I always like to give this analogy with sports, and I want you guys to listen. I can see the chat messages, and I'm going to just respond to the chat. Okay. In sports, in a game like soccer, there's if you're familiar with soccer, if you bring down your opponent, if you tackle your opponent in the penalty box unlawfully, you get a penalty. Sorry, they get a penalty. All right, and most times there's a high percentage that the opponent will score the penalty. So now in modern day soccer, players have learned how to dive and pretend that they were brought down illegally. And if your team was the team that took the dive and got awarded the penalty, because you want your team to win, you would celebrate and say, yay, we won. We got the penalty, we won. And that's all well and good. But when it happens to you and your opponent dives and they get given a penalty, you would freak out, right? every one of us has that sense of justice. It's called justice. If what they did to Trump was reversed and it was done to somebody you support, would you support it still? And I don't need you to kind of rage chat and try and tell me in the chat that you would support it. I want you to think about it. If it was very clear that something was being done wrong in the lawsuits and everything that was being brought against Trump, the state of New York literally had to change the statutes in order to accommodate E. Jean Carroll's lawsuit. For her to say 30 years ago or so, he did this to me in a changing room. Where were the attendants? Where was everyone else? Trump Tower was across the road. At the time, Trump was the most visible person in New York, most popular person in New York. Look, there are factors to this that if we're being intellectually honest, we would break it down and discuss it. Right? It's not about being pro-Trump. Trump is not my uncle. So let's just get that out of the way. You guys are still chatting. I love the fact that you guys are chatting. Thank you. I appreciate the chat. And I'm seeing a lot of sentiment to dive into this story. You made a mistake. You have made a mistake. He was convicted in civil court and he is currently appealing the conviction. But as it stands, he was convicted. Okay, fine. You win, Chris. You win. He was convicted. All right. At the end of this, if there's time, then we'll fact check it. Okay. We will fact check it. Juan Miranda says, okay, now guys, if you're confused as to the source of all the chat, there are two channels, the main channel and the backup channel. All right. So if the main channel is the monetized channel, the backup channel is non-monetized. Now, if you've joined and you kind of like the way I'm engaging you, I'm not calling anyone names. I'm not fighting with anybody. I'm not insulting anyone. And I'm grateful to you guys in the chat for being very respectful. I respect it and I thank you for bringing that spirit of respect into the chat. I appreciate it. And I want more of it. So please, even though we push back at each other and we're doing it respectfully, I appreciate it. Keep it coming. Okay. And even if I sort of disagree, prove me wrong. And let me be wrong in a respectful way. And crud, I thought I was right, and I apologize, and I change my position. I love what I see in the chat. You guys keep it coming. Now, if you like this engagement and you want to, stick around, please consider subscribing to the channel, to either channel. Consider liking the video and sharing the video. And if you can, please consider becoming a member of the main channel. The link is in the video description. If you want, you can. And if you don't want to join as a member and you want to contribute and donate, please consider donating using the link in the chat or sending us a super chat. All right. So let's see. Juan Miranda, Trump has cheated and lied to all his wives. So how honest is he really? And you have a point. I know people who won't do business or who won't hire anyone who is unfaithful to their spouses. But Trump has kind of built a business solving problems for people, and they pay him. So being unfaithful to your spouse is a moral failure, but it doesn't seem to have affected his business. For me, that is a black mark on President Trump. I wouldn't endorse that behavior, and I don't endorse that behavior. It was wrong for him to have cheated on his wives, no matter how hard the marriages were. He chose his wives. He should have stuck with them for better, for worse. But he kept divorcing them. It's a problem. At least he's still with his last wife, even though he did cheat on her with the porn star. So we all know about that story. So yes, I agree. It puts a lot of question to him. And you know what? I think it's a good thing. It forces everyone to scrutinize his decisions and his statements even more. It's a good thing. So we have to take a second look to say, why is he really doing this? Or why is he really saying this? I think it's not that, now guys, let me backtrack. it's a good thing that it forces us to take a second look at him. That's what I meant, not that it's a good thing he cheated. I need to clarify that so that you understand exactly what I mean. Juan Miranda, you said Maxwell's husband went to prison. Yeah. Ghislaine Maxwell was married to Epstein. Legrineris says Trump was liable for sexually abusing and defaming Carol. That is the language. Yes, he was bad. Okay. All right. If there's time, we're going to take a look at this. I'm reading about it right now. You are not looking it up live, but I am. Here is a quote from the judge. Good. All right. Now, here's a quote from the judge. The jury's finding of sexual abuse, therefore, necessarily implies that it found that Mr. Trump forcibly penetrated her. The judge further writes, in other words, that he raped her. Okay. So that's fine. All right. Thank you for looking it up. Juan Miranda said, so I said that's where he was murdered, meaning, yes, he was murdered in prison, which is another black mark on the Trump administration. Because if this had happened under a Democrat administration, conservatives, we would have jumped on the whole conspiracy theory. Epstein knew something, he was murdered, but it was under the Trump administration, which was confusing for conservatives. But then again, like I've said, Epstein had dirt on everybody, everyone. So let's not get it twisted. He had dirt on everyone. You guys are really hot in the goodness. You guys are excited today. All right. Now, can we cover the last story before we finish up the rest of the chat? And I hope this is a story you guys care about. I hope it is. I hope it is. And I hope you guys stick around for the last video that I will play. And I hope YouTube behaves. So Nicki Minaj gave a statement at the UN about the genocide that's happening against Christians. Now, why does this matter? The world needs to see what's going on, not just in countries like Nigeria, but what's going on in Germany, in Sweden, in the United Kingdom. Everywhere in the world, there's a sense of hostility against Christians or against Christian culture, a plan to replace Christian culture. And we need to open our eyes and see what's going on. Okay. So I hope you stick around and watch her speech. And then we're going to watch a brutal takedown on Piers Morgan Uncensored of the Nigerian foreign minister. The Nigerian foreign minister attempts to gaslight everyone to say, well, this isn't happening. And then he gets a brutal reality check, during the live stream. It's actually a live stream. So let's quickly watch this, and then we'll wrap up with reading the rest of the chat.
The gentleman.
In way too many places. In Nigeria, Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray. Sadly, this problem is not only a growing problem in Nigeria, but also in so many other countries across the world, and it demands urgent action. And I want to be clear, protecting Christians in Nigeria is not about taking sides or dividing people. It is about uniting humanity. Nigeria is a beautiful nation with deep faith traditions and lots of beautiful barbs that I can't wait to see. When one's church, mosque, or place of worship is destroyed, everyone's heart should break just a little bit. And the foundation of the United Nations, with its core mandate to ensure peace and security, should shake. I am joined here today by peace builders, by faith leaders, by those who saw violence, saw rising intolerance, saw the threats clearly before us, and chose not to look the other way. I am inspired by their work to build interfaith ties, to see the humanity across the lines which might divide us, and to fight for security and liberty for all those who pray.
So Nicki Minaj is joining her voice with everyone else crying out for President Trump and other countries to intervene in the brutal situation happening in Nigeria. Now, the foreign minister of Nigeria decided that, well, he was invited on Piers Morgan. I don't know if he watches Piers Morgan. I don't know what he was expecting, but he got a brutal reality check. And being Nigerian, I can almost sense what he was thinking in his head, being steamrolled by a woman on live TV.
Here's what's happening in Nigeria is jihad. It's the exact same thing that happened on October 7 by Islamists when they broke into Israel and murdered Jews, yelling Allahu Akbar. It's the exact same thing that ISIS terrorists did to the Yazidis in Iraq. It's the exact same thing that happened in Lebanon. Here's the only difference between what's happening today in Nigeria versus what happened 1400 years ago when the Muslim Arab invaders came to Persia is that back then people did not have cameras, but today they do. It is 100% jihad. We've seen it before. This is how the Islamist playbook always happens.
Well, I don't think that the foreign minister was denying that bad things have been happening. He's just denying that it constitutes a genocide and that the numbers of reported
because his
deaths
government
of
is a part of it.
Of murders of Christians.
I think his government is complicit. Right now, you have an Islamist government in Nigeria. One of the things that he didn't mention to you is that typically it's been a constitutional convention in Nigeria that if the prime minister is Muslim, then if the president is Muslim, then the vice president is Christian. If the president is Christian, then the vice president is Muslim. This is intended to have a proper representation of the Nigerian population. Right now, you have a Muslim president, and then they decided to choose a Muslim vice president, and so there is actually no Christian representation in the Islamist government. By the way, this is a government that is working closely behind the scenes with the Islamic Republic of Iran. You should ask the foreign minister why Nigerian school children are holding pictures of the Ayatollah, who is a brutal dictator and is murdering my people in Iran. People need to look into the linkages between the current Nigerian government and the Islamic Republic of Iran. I was a politician for 7 years, Pierce, and I can tell when someone is lying and avoiding the truth. That's exactly what this foreign minister is doing, and shame on him for lying.
Ouch. Now, being from Nigeria, I know how these people think, and he was not taking it well, and you can see it in his eyes. Now, with all of this said, people would go online to say, well, what do we care? Let other countries take care of their own business. And I understand that sentiment. But you have something similar to this brewing in the background in your countries, and you need to see how it starts. We see the finished work in countries like Iran. We see the finished work in Iraq. We see the finished work in Syria. But we don't see how it starts, the subtle way it starts, and then it begins to bloom, and then it becomes an inferno. All right. The news crews only show up when the inferno has started. Right now, you guys have a front row seat to see how a country is systematically converted into an Islamic state. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, and we mentioned that there were churches that were attacked and burnt and so on, but no one ever saw it happening. Now, this church that we're about to, many churches in Nigeria have begun to live stream their services. They want to be online and they want to live stream their services for people who maybe used to be members and had left the region or left the country, and they want to stay connected with their congregation who are no longer within the vicinity. And this church was live streaming in northern Nigeria, and they were attacked. And you will see how it commences during the live stream. I may not play everything. It's about 5 minutes. I'll just play a bit of it, so you see to a point how far it went. But there were a lot more stuff. There was a lot more going on after that. Now those are gunshots. And you can see an elder woman. She can't even run. Their children, and the church is surrounded, so they can't leave. They tried running out through the back. It's surrounded. They rush back in, and now they're still firing. Now that's one of the Islamists. And now they're going to search the church to find where the members of the congregation are hiding. Now they're going to try to break down the door. All right, so I'm gonna stop here. All right, there's more to see. All right, now, so you guys pray for Nigeria, but you guys should also watch what's going on in your countries. If there's an overt emphasis on, let me just say it, on Sharia, take note that that's one of the first moves that they make to begin to edge into the political and social sphere. When Sharia was implemented in several northern countries back in 1999, the alarm bells were ringing. People didn't take it seriously. The Christian politicians who were in government were too busy looting. Now, remember, I did air quotes for Christian because anyone who claims that they're a Christian and practices unrighteousness and sin without feeling guilty might very well not be a Christian. They allowed things to spiral out of control and get to this point. Now, you're sitting in a place of worship. You're not armed. All you have is your Bible. You have your kids and your family with you. And next thing you're hearing is bullets zinging through the air in a place of worship. And they barge into the place of worship and start attacking you. This is, with all the politics and all the arguments that are happening online, people should see this, because the Muslims claim that that they also have casualties. We're waiting to see the mass graves of the Muslims in northern Nigeria. The same claims happen in places like Syria and Iran. They always claim that it's a both sides thing. But it's funny how it's a both sides thing and only one side seems to be burying their dead. Anyway, let's go back to the chat. All right, let me know what you think of everything that we've discussed. I am going to be finishing up the chat. Let's see. It was murdered, meaning I need to catch. Okay. All right. So I think I did read one, Miranda's last message. Legeneris says, facts do not care about feelings on if we like him or not. He was found liable, and that is a fact. Fine. It's also a fact that many of the judges and the jury had a bias. All right. In a proper legal setting, all right, that would be called a mistrial, because President Trump, like you can't try someone like President Trump, okay? And that's one of the reasons why states don't have the authority to try a former president. The state of New York literally had to rewrite the rules in order to allow them try a former president. This had never happened before. If this were a Democrat former president, Democrats will be up in arms. This is the abuse of the legal system. But it's fine, totally fine when they do it against Trump because of the polarizing nature of his personality. All right. The people who support him feel like if they speak up for him, that they will be demonized because of how polarizing he is. The people who hate him feel justified because of how much a lot of people hate him. Okay, let's learn to speak the truth. All right, let's just be honest about it. If Barack Obama had been brought up on charges by President Trump in his first term or after his second term, what would you as a Democrat have been saying? And what would you as a Republican be saying? And I'm talking to both sides. If Republicans say, yay, you guys are full of it because you claim that President Trump is being witch hunted, but you'll be happy to see a Barack Obama dragged through the same legal system. Yes, okay, he did wrong. Okay, fine. But it is still going to look the same way. Democrats feel like, how dare you attack our Black Jesus? But you're celebrating because Trump was indicted and dragged through the court system. Come on. What are we doing here? We need to always tell the truth. All right? He was found liable. That's a fact. Fine. We're going to go through the hour mark. All right. If all of you who wanted me to fact check this story show up during the live stream tonight, I will do a live fact check for anything you want. All of you. And I can see you. I'm going to do a roll call at the end of this live stream. I'm going to watch out for all of you. If I see you and you're asking for the live fact check on this story, then we'll do it. I'm making that promise. Okay. Watson Smith says Democrats will see their own people involved with Epstein. Adam Schiff, Bill Clinton, George Stephanopoulos. Yeah, because these people were known to have parlayed up and visited Epstein multiple times. All right. So Watson, yeah. And this is public knowledge. So let's all, let's have the Democrats spare us the fake outrage. All right. We had more Democrats publicly hobnobbing with Epstein. So why the outrage? We're not talking about taking a dive in a sport. We're talking about the rape of a woman. Your reasoning is questionable. I am talking about sentiment. I am not talking about how each of these things apply. I am talking about sentiments, Chris. There is a way you use examples to frame people's sentiments about a certain action. And I'm not referring to the rape. I am referring to the attitudes people have whenever the justice system is used one way against people that they support and another way against people they don't support. How do they feel about it? How do you feel about a two-tier justice system, Chris? If you feel like you didn't understand what I was talking about, I am talking about how the laws or the rules are applied to Republicans and to Democrats. That's what I'm talking about. So while we're busy trying to make sure you rub poop all over the face of the Trump administration, all right, let's come with hard facts. All right. What is a fact? Fact is, E. Jean Carroll did not report the so-called rape right after it happened. E. Jean Carroll did not report it up until President Trump was out of the White House after his first term. And Democrats were looking for all the dirt they could find on him. E. Jean Carroll, who appears to be very suspect as a person, shows up just after the state of New York decides to rewrite the statutes to accommodate her lawsuit. The statutes of limitation had passed. The state of New York extended it for cases of rape and sexual abuse so that it could accommodate her accusation against Trump. If you claim not to see the double standards and the weaponization of the justice system, at least by the state of New York, the Democrat-led state of New York, then maybe we're not having an honest conversation. If this was done against Barack Obama, a different case altogether. We have the video of the gentleman who claimed that he was a sexual partner to Obama and that they engaged in the consumption of cocaine, which I think a lot of people frown at. I don't know if it's a criminal offense to partake in cocaine. Celebrities and elites do it all the time. So it's not about that. It's really about, let's assume that was a crime. And then the state of Chicago had to rewrite the statutes of limitation in order to rope him into some misdemeanor or an accusation to make him look bad and discredit him. How would you feel about that? I'm trying to help us kind of open up the way we think and look at these things. It's not just about hate this person because it's fashionable to hate them. It's really about what is intellectually consistent. Watson Smith says the Democrats had 4 years to release the files. If they had something on Trump, then they would have released them. I agree. I keep asking that question, but people keep not giving me an answer when I put up that question. Chris says, being unfaithful proves you're immoral. It also gives credence to that he might do other immoral things, right? Such as things with Epstein. Most of the Democrats that I have seen gracing the floor of the House and Senate are liars. I've listened to their accounts. I've listened to their questioning. I've listened to their answers when they are grilled, and they lie. That means they are immoral. Lying is an immoral act as well. Okay, that means they cannot be trusted. And I have said repeatedly on this channel that politicians cannot be trusted. I don't trust anyone, including Trump. I don't. What I'm trying to get to here is, when you look at politics, I need you to stop looking at it as war against your fellow citizen. Don't. Learn how to look at it as like you look at the WWE now, because we all know the WWE is fake. If you didn't know it was fake, sorry, I just broke your your illusion about the WWE. It's fake, it's scripted. I know how I felt when I discovered it was all an act. Politics, not just in the United States, but everywhere else in the world, is an act. It's power play. Anyone who is involved in there sees you and I as pawns in their little game. Do you want to keep being a pawn? If you hate the fact that I'm trying to help you think through these things without saying outrightly hate Trump or hate this person or hate that person, Republicans won't like me because I'm not saying hate these people. I might give a snide, sarcastic take on them, but I would not say hate them. Same for Republicans. I wouldn't say hate or celebrate them or these are, angels. I would not. I can't trust either of them. So when I talk about these things, it's really about us learning how to see these things through clearer eyes. If Trump is in the Epstein files, let him be held accountable. Okay? And I hope other Democrats, and if you're a Democrat, I think, was it Chris who said he's an independent? We should also be willing to say the same for Democrats on your side or people who you support. Juan Miranda says, how many times has Trump gone bankrupt? 4. And it's business bankruptcy, not personal bankruptcy, right? I think it's called Title VI bankruptcy. Meanwhile, he has had 500 businesses. So 4 businesses out of 500 have filed for bankruptcy. Do the math. Does that make him a failure? Let's be intellectually consistent. He has had 500 businesses. 4 had Title VI bankruptcy, which is essentially restructuring their debts. So that's not a failure, guys, in my book. If it is in your book, then maybe you should learn how to count. Watson Smith says, in the court documents, they could not find that President Trump raped her. President Trump is innocent. You see, Watson Smith, Chris, everyone else who's been harping about this court case, let's talk about it tonight. After tonight's live stream, if you're in attendance and you say, hey, let's fact check that thing we talked about, the Trump E. Jean Carroll race case, then we can do that. All right. I would love to have you guys back tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Juan Miranda says, fact check, Trump has more bankruptcies than he does divorces. Yeah, he's been divorced twice. No, 3 twice. He got married to Ivana, then got married to the American lady, and then divorced her, and then got married to Melania. Yeah. So, yeah. Good call. Good catch, Juan. Tara says, at this point, Nigeria needs intervention. The jihadis are close to Lagos. They were in Kwara killing yesterday. Yes, that church that we saw was Kwara State. The church we saw was Kwara State. All right, guys, we're at the end of our chat. Morton Lund, I see you. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this live stream. It was very chatty. Thank you all for contributing your opinions to it. I will do a roll call. For those who engaged in the chat. Just give me a moment. I want to see if I have everyone listed. So I have Morton Lund, I have Wes, I have Schrodinger's cat, I have David D, Tara, Juan Miranda, Chris, and let's see, Legrineris, and Watson Smith. Yeah, so we have all of you engaging in the chat. I appreciate you engaging. Thank you so much. You made this live stream amazing. I hope to see you tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. If not, we're going to be back tomorrow at noon Eastern, same time. And we're going to be, and now if you have stories that you want us to consider covering, all right, please send the stories to crossroadsirl@gmail.com. The email is right there on the screen. And if you've stayed this long, or if you've watched this long, and you kind of like the way the content has been flowing, and you like the pace and you like the tone, we don't cuss out people, we don't call people names, we don't insult their mothers or fathers or anything. You like that. There's no profanity in this live stream, and you can watch this with your kids. Please consider subscribing, liking, and sharing the video. Hit the bell icon to be notified when next we go live, and engage in the chat. The chat is there for you. It's not just for a select few. And don't be squeamish about being wrong. Okay? I get called out for being wrong regularly. It shouldn't faze you. It's just a learning moment. You get called out, you're wrong about something, and then you say, okay, I didn't know that, but now I do. And then you move on from there. Okay, and I want to thank everyone in the chat who's been so respectful. Okay, you guys have been respectful, and I thank you for it. Everyone has been great. All right, so we'll be heading out now. Thank you for being a part of this, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless you. Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching Headlines and History. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together. See you soon.